Good morning, Year 2, and welcome to our next English lesson. I hope you had lots of fun yesterday reading and listening to different poems about the sea, and I hope that you enjoyed having time to discuss them, thinking about your likes and dislikes, what was effective, spotting key features. I know in the class we definitely had a good time having those discussions, so I hope that you did too. So today in English, you won't need to write the date and learning objective as you won't be recording in your books. Instead, the activity will involve you acting out and uploading a video to Class Dojo. But just to share with you, today's date is Tuesday the 19th of January 2021 and the learning objective is to read, recite and act out poetry. So you might recognise this picture here, Year 2. It's a different one to yesterday, whilst we're still in the process of building up our thinking boxes to success. I wonder where that picture is. Where is that setting? What do you see, think and wonder? Perhaps pause the video here and have a very quick discussion, thinking about making connections with your topic learning yesterday. Well done, Year 2. So, first of all, I was really keen to share with you some reflections that have been uploaded to your class friends' portfolios on Class Dojo, as it's really great to see what everyone else is thinking. So I'm going to share with you 4 examples here, so I haven't added them all today. So the first reflection says, my favourite poem is If You Ever, because it says the same words a few times. I noticed that it gives a warning. It looks like the whale is swimming in big waves. This reflection here has got a similar idea, and that being their favourite too. My favourite poem is If You Ever, because I enjoy the rhyming. I think that it was fun to listen to, and I noticed that it has a beat. I like the way they made the writing curly. I think that this is a good way to look at the poem. So very similar here, we've got an idea around how it looks like the whale is swimming in big waves, and this child's picked up on how the writing was all curly, like the waves. So this is If You Ever. So in the classroom, this poem was very popular. The children found it very funny because the words were so repetitive. But on the other hand, a couple of children found it annoying because the words were so repetitive. So it's great to hear different points of view. Okay, let's look at these next 2 reflections. My favourite poem is Leave the Whales Alone, Please, because I like the words and it's telling someone to leave them alone because they are kind. I think that it's pretty good description because I like the way they are describing how you need to leave them alone. I noticed that at the start of each verse, it has the same sentence, which means that the poem has a strong message. And another child noticed this too. So as you can see here, the title is Leave the Whales Alone, Please. And at sort of every verse, that phrase is repeated to really reinforce that strong message of protecting the whales. Okay, let's look at this last reflection. My favourite poem is Leave the Whales Alone, because the title of the poem is sending out a strong message to look after our oceans and animals. I notice that the whale seems happy left alone. I also love how the picture shows humans and whales living alongside one another in harmony. So I wonder what that means if the humans and animals are living alongside each other in harmony. So as we can see here, we've got some scuba divers. They're the humans in this picture, and there'll be humans on the boats as well. So what does that mean in harmony? Well done. So the humans and animals are living peacefully alongside each other. So they're looking after each other. They're not arguing, they're living peacefully. So that's what living in harmony means, which is a brilliant choice of words. So well done, Year 2. So moving on to today, I'm going to share a model poem with you, and it has 2 verses, which is what we're going to be aiming to write at the end of this sequence of learning. And this poem in particular was written by Mr. Moon, who is the English lead at St. Mary's, our partner school. So listen really carefully, and then in a moment we're going to pause the video and engage in book talk like we were yesterday to discuss the poem. Okay. The angry sea crashed against the golden sand. The swirling wind built huge, frothy waves. The terrified ships pitched on the rough waters. The storm was ferocious. The warm sun rose in the wide, cloudless sky. The peaceful water slept on the seabed. The gentle breeze soothed the resting ships. The calm was glorious. So I hope you enjoyed that poem written by Mr. Moon. And I wonder if you could now pause the video to discuss the following questions. What is your favourite part of the poem? Why? What are the verses describing? How are they different? And are there any words that are unfamiliar to you? And if there are, it'd be great to discuss these words in detail. And similar to yesterday, you might go away and do a little bit of research so that you feel really confident in understanding the meaning of them. So please pause the video here and engage with book talk about this on this poem by Mr. Moon. Brilliant. Well done, you two. Okay, we're going to dive into the poem again, but this time have a think about the key features and the grammar features used in this poem. So I'm just going to pose the questions to you first before I read it to you again. The poem is missing a title. So what do you think the title could be? It'd be really great to hear your thoughts around this when you upload the video, as we could use one of your ideas to give this poem a title. Can you identify the noun phrases? That's when we have an adjective before the noun, including expanded noun phrases, which is when we have more than one adjective before the noun and a comma is used to separate the adjectives. And which words do you think are effective? Explain why. So with those ideas in mind, I'm going to read the poem to you again. The angry sea crashed against the golden sand. The swirling wind built huge, frothy waves. The terrified ships pitched on the rough waters. The storm was ferocious. The warm sun rose in the wide, cloudless sky. The peaceful water slept on the seabed. The gentle breeze soothed the resting ships. The calm was glorious. So please pause the video here and discuss the following questions. Well done, Year 2. Okay, so what I'm going to share with you is my thinking around the noun phrases as I look forward to hearing your ideas around the title and effective word choices in your video. So let's have a look at each line in the poem. So the angry sea crashed against the golden sand. So here we have a noun phrase, angry sea. Angry is the adjective and sea is the noun. We also have another noun phrase, which is the golden sand. So golden is the adjective and sand is the noun. The swirling wind built huge, frothy waves. Can you spot the noun phrase and expanded noun phrase in this line? Well done, Year 2. So we have swirling wind, swirling being the adjective and wind being the noun. And then we have huge, frothy waves. And as you can see, there is more than one adjective before the noun here. And that's why a comma has been used to separate them in a list. Okay, the next line. Do you want to read it with me this time? The terrified ships pitched on the rough waters. So again, we've got terrified ships being a noun phrase with the adjective terrified and the noun ships. And rough waters. Rough being the adjective, waters being the noun. Okay? So we've gone through the first verse together. So I've modelled that thinking to you. So you may choose to return to thinking about that question in particular and focus on identifying the noun phrases and expanded noun phrases in the second verse. Okay, so moving on, your task today is going to first of all be to read the poem together. So you'll join in with me in a moment. And then afterwards, practice reciting the poem with actions and upload a video to your portfolio on Class Dojo. Okay, it'd be great to hear your title at the beginning of your video. So we're going to read the poem together. But first of all, I want to share with you my thinking around this poem. So the poems that we're going to be writing are going to have 2 verses. So as you can see here, we have 1 verse, the first verse, and another verse, so the second verse. The first verse of the poem is about stormy weather. So as you can see here, the storm was ferocious. It's describing what the sea is like during that storm. In the second verse, as you can see, it ends with the calm was glorious. So that is the contrast there. The second verse is describing what the sea is like when it's very calm and sunny, as you can see, warm sun. Okay, so we're going to read the poem together, and then I might share my ideas with you on some actions, okay? So I'm going to read at a pace that hopefully everyone can join in with. Ready, year 2? The angry sea crashed against the golden sand. The swirling wind built huge, frothy waves. The terrified ships pitched on the rough waters. The storm was ferocious. So next verse now. The warm sun rose in the wide cloudless sky. The peaceful water slept on the seabed. The gentle breeze soothed the resting ships. The calm was glorious. Well done, year 2. Thank you for joining in with me. Okay, so now we need to practice reciting the poem with actions, which we usually develop together. So I'm going to share some ideas with you. So the first line says, the angry sea crashed against the golden sand. So I'm going to go for the angry sea crashed against the golden sand. Now the next line is the swirling wind. So for the swirling wind, I might do this action. Built. I'm going to do the building action. Huge frothy waves. Okay, so let's do that line together. The swirling wind built huge frothy waves. Fantastic. Okay, so the next line says the terrified ships. We could do the terrified ships pitched. I'm going to be a boat. No, be a ship. Pitched on the rough waters. This is wobbling about in our ship. Okay, should we do that one together? The terrified ships pitched on the rough waters. And then we have the storm was ferocious. The storm was ferocious. And act like a storm. Okay, so shall we do that first verse together? When you come to recording your own, of course, choose to make up your own actions. You don't need to use these, it's up to you. Okay, so let's have a go together. The angry sea crashed against the golden sand. The swirling wind built huge frothy waves. The terrified ships pitched on the rough waters. The storm was ferocious. Brilliant. Well done, Year 2. Thanks for joining in with me. I'm really looking forward to seeing your videos on Class Dojo. Have fun, Year 2.